Legend in the Mist by Son of Oak Game Studios is a narrative-focused TTRPG with a system that uses just a pair of d6 and a clever designed tax system to tell stories of rustic fantasy in worlds of your own making. I'm a big fan of narrative games, but one thing I struggle with is that many of those games don't have enough mechanics for me to really sink my teeth into. Legend in the Mist, however, sates my craving for a sturdy mechanical framework while still providing enough freedom for the story to unfold. Let me tell you why I love Legend in the Mist by sharing my 3 favorite things about it with you right now. Characters in Legend in the Mist do not have large character sheets with lots of numbers. Instead, this game uses tags. A tag is basically a word or a short phrase that describes one of your character's traits. For example, your character could have the tags athletic, talkative, and reckless. You can basically describe every character you will ever meet in Legend in the Mist in just a few words, and that's their character sheet. In practice, these tags are sorted into theme cards, which also contain tracks that measure your character's growth. More on that later. Tags are not just personality traits. Items that are important to your character are also tags. For example, your father's old hunting bow is a tag. What is important is that only things that really define your character become tags. It might take some getting used to when coming from a more traditional RPG, but I think people new to tabletop RPGs will find this way of building characters easier and more intuitive. No need to flip through dozens of pages to find the right feats and spells for your character. Instead, just jot down the most important aspects of your hero, and you're practically good to go. Tags are also not just used on your character sheet. They are the core mechanic by which almost anything in Legend in the Mist is described, giving weight to important elements in every scene. If the characters travel through a dark forest during a thunderstorm, dark forest and thunderstorm can become tags of their own which can influence the outcome of your actions. Talking about actions, let me tell you how Legend in the Mist resolves conflict and utilizes tags. Legend in the Mist has 3 different degrees of conflict resolution: simple, quick, and detailed. Simple resolutions are for things that focus mostly on the things your character can perceive or easily manipulate within the scope of their tags. The GM, or narrator in this game, decides based on the character's tags and situations in the scene how an action is resolved, and no dice are rolled. Quick resolution requires some dice rolling. When the outcome of an action is uncertain, the player rolls 2d6 and adds their power to the total of those dice. Power is calculated by counting all tags that are helpful for this check, subtracting all tags that are hindering, and accounting for a few other bonuses and penalties. For example, let's say our athletic character is chasing a monster through the earlier mentioned dark forest during a thunderstorm. They try to take a shot at the beast with their father's old hunting bow. The player rolls 2d6. The character tags athletic and father's old hunting bow are helpful in this situation, but the tag dark forest is making it harder to hit the creature. The player thus adds a total of 1 power to their roll. The total sum of a quick action determines the outcome. A total of 10 or higher means a success, and there are no consequences for the character. Between a 9 and 7 is a success, but there are also consequences to this action. A 6 or lower? That means there will only be consequences to this action. Detailed resolution takes the mechanics of quick resolution and expands on them. Power is not just a bonus or penalty you add to your roll, but if you succeed, you can spend your power on specific effects. Detailed actions are for moments where it is important that the player has more narrative control on the outcome, providing them with ways to create extra tags and further shape the flow of the story. Tags create a simple and clean mechanical framework for the conflict resolution in Legend in the Mist, and the different degrees of complexity to each type of action allow groups control over how complex they want to make conflict resolution depending on what the current scene demands. Simple actions are basically just a conversation between player and narrator, while detailed actions have a sense of tactics and resource management that many narrative systems lack. Love it. In many traditional TTRPGs, character growth means gaining power. Your numbers get bigger, your spells more impressive, and you generally become more badass. Characters in Legend of the Mist can also become more powerful as they grow, but the way character development is handled in this game has a few interesting layers to it. All growth begins with improvement. Your character's traits are sorted into themes. During the game, things can cause you to mark improve for a theme. This usually happens when one of your weakness tags is used in an action, but there are other things that can also cause you to mark improve. When you mark the third improve of a theme, you can improve it. This allows you to, for example, add new tags to that theme, or remove or alter a weakness. Your character also has quests that they follow. These quests are linked to your themes. As you play your character, you mark milestones if you make progress on your quest, or abandon if you stray away from its goal. Once you have marked 3 milestones for a quest, it is considered completed and you can evolve the theme it belonged to. A theme called Adventurous Farm Boy could become Promising Knight once you have completed your quest to become a Knight of the Realm. The final layer of character development is Promise. You can mark Promise when improving a theme, or when you completed a quest and upgrade your theme. Once you have marked 5 Promise, your character achieves a moment of fulfillment. These moments are big, life-changing events for your character. You could decide that they have achieved their journey's end, retiring the character in a location that the remaining PCs can always visit. You might want to reforge your hero, completely reconfiguring their character sheet to show some grand change in their personality and goals. You could even have your character shake the foundations of magic, forever changing the way the arcane arts work in your campaign. There are a few things I like about this way of character development. First, the fact that there are multiple layers means that there is some form of improvement happening every session. Players will mark improves for their themes regularly, as long as they find ways to involve their weakness tags in their roles. This will lead to small but regular changes to their character. These smaller changes ultimately feed into the acquisition of promise, and thus moments of fulfillment. To gather promise, the PCs have to work on milestones for their quests, which are thus guidelines for players and the narrator for what adventures should be about and what challenges the heroes want to face. It's an interwoven system of smaller advancements feeding into large moments of growth, all tied together by goals that the players have set for themselves and their characters. Another element I like is that one moment of fulfillment is all about retiring your character, and another one about rebuilding them. In my experience, every long-running campaign will sooner or later be faced with players who either consider their character's story finished, or who have become bored with the mechanical aspects of their player character. Legend of the Mist provides these players with mechanical options to solve this problem. Retiring your character even allows the player to establish a location in the world to which the PCs can always return and benefit from a special tag. As someone who wants more games and tables to normalize retiring PCs without killing them, this is a very welcome mechanical codification of it. All in all, character growth in Legend of the Mist is structured, supporting the narrative, and well thought out. Love it. Now, I talked a lot about the cool mechanical aspects of Legend of the Mist, but you want to know what is my absolute favorite thing about it? Well, the core rulebook starts with a choose-your-own-adventure-style comic that helps you learn the rules. How freaking cool is that? Not only is the art for this comic absolutely stunning, but the rules are also explained in a very concise, bite-sized way. You get to see the various types of conflict resolution in action, understand the different types of tags, and by the end of it, you have witnessed an exciting adventure about the young hero Garen, who wants to save his family from a terrible fate. The tone and visual style of the comic also establish immaculate rustic fantasy vibes, a style of campaign the Legend of the Mist rules are perfectly made for. The tutorial comic is a great start to learning how the game works. You could easily send it to any new player at your table, and they will be able to understand the basics of the game after finishing it. It's clever, it's fun, and I want to see more comic tutorials in other TTRPGs. Love, love, love it. And there you have it, my 3 favorite things about Legend in the Mist. Have you played the game? And if so, what are your favorite things about this game? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, take care, and bye-bye.